WrestleManiacs, Maniacs. This is the podcast. It's called WrestleManiacs. Adam, Donald, Indian Josh. Been out together forever and son. WrestleManiacs. This is the podcast. It's called WrestleManiacs. WWE, AEW, TNA, JPW. WrestleManiacs.
Good afternoon, WrestleManiacs. It is Josh here, Red Wrestle M podcast for the Clash at the Castle Scotland review and actually live reactions as well. What a PLE we just ended with. And let me tell you, folks, this is crazy. Definitely, I want to take this moment at first to talk about our predictions. And Adam, you are the winner of predictions, sir. I was knocked out pretty early in the PLE, and Adela and you went back and forth. But Adam, I want to take this moment to acknowledge you. You are our tribal chief for this prediction. So again, thank you so much for tuning in for those who followed along in the predictions. And again, let's get started with the review. We actually had a pretty interesting start. I love the intro video with Drew McIntyre. Pretty much we are in his home country, as well as some other superstars as well. But we did have a pretty good introduction, as of course always with WWE. So our first match to open the night was actually the Clash at the Castle for the WWE Undisputed Championship. In the I Quit match, it was AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes. And let me tell you, folks, something. This definitely was a pretty good match. Again, I wished a little bit more violence here. We definitely had a table spot included. The match started out pretty well. Again, we had some chain wrestling as long with a I would say AJ was more of the aggressor. Pretty much AJ seemed to be dominating most of the match until the end. Throughout the match, we had AJ Styles pull out some handcuffs, be able to beat Cody Rhodes with a kendo stick as well. Bust him open, actually, which was a pretty nice, refreshing thing. The cut seemed to go away midway through the match. I wasn't sure what exactly happened, if they maybe taped it up, not really sure. But we ended up having a pretty good match. We had AJ Styles jawjack Mama Rhodes, of course, being in the crowd, actually going out later on near the end of the match and actually getting slapped by her a couple of times, about 3 or so times. And, I'll be honest, folks, I didn't really love the ending of this match. Again, it's a callback. It is a callback. But we ended up having to where Cody Rhodes, of course, comes back, does his Hogan-esque kind of comeback, actually handcuffs AJ Styles to the ropes, I should say. Again, being handcuffed, he was able to get out with the keys. And so we have, again, at the end of the sequence, we have AJ Styles handcuffed to the ropes. Cody takes a chair, hits him a couple of times, asks if he's going to quit, says no, hits him in the ankle with the chair, says no again. And what we end up having is AJ Styles being, of course, beaten up pretty well. And Cody Rhodes going to the next level, as he calls it, to Michael Cole, going to pick up the steel steps. Basically walks around the ring as AJ's handcuffed, throws him into the ring, and is about to hit AJ Styles as he lifts the steel steps over his head, about to hit him, and AJ just yells, I quit. I understand that, again, they had to get around this. I understand that, for whatever reason, Cody Rhodes has to stay champion, I guess because of the Roman Reigns thing before. Didn't love it, though. Now, it is a callback somewhat to JBL and John Cena in their feud back in, way back in 2004, or I'm sorry, 5, post-WrestleMania, where Cena was going to hit JBL with something heavy and ended up making JBL quit. I didn't love it. Again, as I told my predictions, I kind of thought this would have been the perfect opportunity for the OC to be utilized to be able to either beat Cody Rhodes to a pulp, make Michelle give up or make it to where they threaten his mom, something like that, to where you could have given AJ Styles another title reign. Where AJ Styles goes from here, I don't know. Maybe he'll enter the Money in the Bank. Maybe we'll have something like that. But I hate to say this hurts the story, but if this is an I Quit match, no rules needed, where was the OC? Why didn't they come out? Why weren't they out there doing anything to help AJ Styles, especially given that they helped Michin back on NXT, Gallows and Anderson? So, again, I didn't love it. But again, your winner of the main event clash, essentially, again, is Cody Rhodes is still your WWE Undisputed Champion. So, again, all right match. I don't know where they're going, but I will say at the end, Next, again, I'm not sure about AJ Styles, but for Cody Rhodes, we actually got a hint of what's next. So as he's walking down the ramp, all of a sudden we see Solo Sikoa come up from behind him as he's lifting the title. He turns to his left, at least camera right or left, his left, and sees Solo Sikoa. And as he's looking at Solo, enter Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. They start to attack him in a 3-on-1 situation, but out comes Randy Orton and Kevin Owens to be able to kind of chase them away. And as they chase them away, something interesting, I don't know if everybody picked up on, but if you did, of course, leave a comment below. Let's see. Speaking of comments, I've got it from Ram Jam. The main event had Bloodline finish written all over it with CM Punk. Yeah, we're going to get to that. So definitely don't worry. I have my thoughts on that for sure. You're going to hear that. Anyways, so they chase them off. The Bloodline is run off, and they have it to where they raise Cody Rhodes' hands. But there's something very similar and very interesting, I'll say. So I'm going to use a prop, for example. So say this is Cody Rhodes' championship. This is my phone, right? So he's got it over his shoulder, and as Randy goes around the corner, you see him, and they even said it at the end, kind of where you show like the highlights of the pay-per-view. He's not looking at Cody Rhodes this way. He's looking at the title. Now, is that a hint from WWE saying Randy Orton's going to be maybe facing Rhodes at SummerSlam? Not sure. But it is interesting that Randy Orton's eyes could have gone anywhere. The crowd looked at Cody Rhodes, but it just happened to just go straight to the title, and you never saw his eyes go back up as they panned the camera. Now, could have been a production thing, don't know, but I thought it was very interesting the way they did that. WWE usually doesn't have those type of little subtle hints now, especially in the Triple H era, without something going on with there. So, to me, I don't know. I like the tease. I think we're going to definitely get something that's going to come out of that. So I would definitely say it's coming soon. So up next, what we had after that is we actually had the women's tag team triple threat match for the women's tag team championship. And you know, this match, I'll say this, without the win of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, I can't say necessarily that this was a great match. I was pleasantly surprised that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn won, especially after getting the pinfall over on Shayna Baszler whenever the Pretty Mean Sisters, or Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, did their tag team finisher. Basically, they got thrown out and they stole the pin. It was a great segment in terms of seeing it at the end. They got flowers by their family, things like that. But the match, ooh, I mean, look, I'm not going to say anybody called an audible, right? But Jade Cargill, in a span of less than a minute, hit 2 or 3 botches. She tried to jump off of a rope, do a kind of springboard off the rope, missed it completely. I mean, terribly. Tried to do a kick to somebody as they were doing a move, missed it completely. It just overall was a mess. It's been said that Jade Cargill seems to get lost in the middle of the match, and I'm not sure why. And again, maybe they have her with Bianca for a reason. I can't say that an audible was called because maybe this has been the plan all along for Isla Dawn and Alba Fire to win, but I don't know. The way they were dominating the match, we had a moment where they had a double wrist lock on Jade. She basically powered out of it, and I don't know, again, more than likely it was planned, but a surprise. I've never been so happy to be wrong. I was hoping that somebody else was going to win this, and I was torn because I like both tag teams. I like both Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, as well as the Unholy Union. And look, it's not that I don't like the Pretty Mean Sisters. I do. I just feel that I would rather have had them feud at first and then become a tag team. To me, that's what it makes me think of, like The Rock and Mankind, right? They feuded first and then became a tag team, and then we kind of hit the story again. But again, Unholy Union are your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and again, I can't be happier. Definitely happy for them, and the crowd, of course, loved it. And, from what we saw next, definitely it makes sense for them to win. So next we have got, after that, the Intercontinental title. It was Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. And, let me say something here. This match, I liked this match. I really did enjoy this match. Overall, didn't love the finish, but I understand that the match was a great match. It definitely went back and forth. You really couldn't tell who was going to win. You had a lot of near falls from Chad Gable, from Sami Zayn. In this match, this was, I think, a lot better, to be honest with you, than a lot of their matches. Again, we had the presence of Otis and Maxine Dupree ringside. For whatever reason, Tozawa wasn't there. I don't know, maybe international. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. But I did enjoy this match. Again, up until the ending, it was a little flat for me, but we told the story of pretty much near the end of the match, Chad Gable was telling them, hey, stick to the plan. Maxine was supposed to hit Sami Zayn with the Intercontinental title. She didn't, so she gets called up on the top, up to the apron, rather, of course. And as happens, what ends up happening is that Chad Gable gets almost hit with the haluva kick, almost a near fall. Basically, Maxine almost cost him the match. So you think, okay, maybe there was something to that. And then you have Maxine, of course, limping at that point because she has the brace on her leg still. And what ends up happening is as Chad Gable and Sami Zayn are fighting ringside, Otis is tending to down Maxine because of her leg. And believe it or not, Sami Zayn pushes Chad Gable with his feet and accidentally has Chad Gable clip the bad leg of Maxine Dupree. And it's a great visual. As he sits up, here's Otis here, and they just turn and look at each other, and he knows he's messed up. So he just kind of gets up and throws Sami Zayn back in, or actually, Sami Zayn's down, of course, does a moonsault to the outside onto him, and actually Otis throws him back in, is going to try to hit a moonsault again, misses. And Otis, he's thinking he's going to help him out as Sami Zayn's down, ends up instead, Otis leaves, picks up Maxine and walks off. And we end up getting a haluva kick as he is distracted, and Chad Gable loses again to Sami Zayn. Now, again, granted, I understand the story of Otis being put over. But here's my thing. Sami Zayn is champion, right? He's been champion for multiple times. Again, as I mentioned in the preview, they've kind of dropped the whole Sami can't win the big one aspect of the world championship, dropped that story completely that we had at the beginning of this year. And it almost now has become Chad Gable's story. He can't win the big one. He can't beat Gunther. He can't beat Sami Zayn. Who the hell can he beat then? Again, I understand the idea of getting Otis over, but to me, it would make much more sense had he had won here and had it to where Otis would be built to become Intercontinental Champion. But again, I'm not the booker. That's just my opinion. And again, if you have something different, I would love to hear your differing opinions. Speaking of Ram Jam, Chad needs to snap now and recruit the Creeds and Ivan out to take care of Otis and the Maxine problem. Yes, I honestly, I really thought this was going to be when Otis left. Essentially, this is going to be where the Creeds were going to attack and cost Sami the match. Again, that's probably what's going to happen because they really did focus, you're right, on Chad Gable just being livid. Literally just stood there. I can't even make the face, but literally just stood there just mad as can be. Didn't move at all, sweat dripping. I mean, so I think this is going to be where he snaps. But I hope that when he does this, this leads to an Intercontinental Championship match. Because to be honest with you, not that I'm sorry, pardon me. Not that he needs to see how sick I am of that booking. No, really, yes, that's going to probably happen. It's probably going to be Tozawa and Otis versus probably the Creeds. The Creeds are going to destroy him, send them packing to wherever. But I really think this hurt Chad Gable a little bit more. Losing at King of the Ring, fine, makes sense. But to have him cost it again, it's just one of those things that I would have put the title on him instead. Even if it cost Maxine, make it to where, we had a distraction. Again, as I mentioned in the preview, why not have Otis clothesline him, have him get a DQ, therefore he's guaranteed another opportunity. But this, you enter the Creeds on Monday Night Raw, kicking Otis in them butts. But again, I digress. Still, your Intercontinental Champion is Sami Zayn. So again, hey, it is what it is. Again, not my story, but hopefully there's something good out of it. I have to trust Triple H and what he's doing. So what we have coming up next after this actually is the Women's Championship match for the title with Bayley versus Piper Niven. Now, this match definitely had a little bit more, I would say, heart to it with Piper Niven because they kind of show her growing up in Scotland, kind of that setup, and show kind of how she got there. So overall, the match was better than I expected. I'll be honest with you, I've not been impressed by Bayley. We kind of know Nia Jax is coming up, and as we all said on the preview, no surprise that Bayley picked up the win here. But you know what? They made Piper Niven look really good in this match. Piper Niven pretty much, I'm going to say, it dominated the match. I mean, she, besides a top row Bayley to belly, and again, kind of a crucifix pin that cost Piper Niven ultimately, the match. They made Piper Niven a star. Not that she isn't already, but they basically made her a star-making performance in terms of beating Bayley, basically getting Bayley, knocking her down, dominating. Again, I mean, this is pretty much what the Nia Jax match is going to be, except probably it's going to be a different ending. I imagine Nia Jax is going to win the title at SummerSlam, but Where Piper Niven goes from here, I mean, kind of hurt her a little bit, but I can understand they can't give every Scottish person the championship because, again, you can't be biased that way. But Bayley again won in short. But again, I really do think that they really put Piper Niven over. She's still a little bit slower than I'd like her to be in the ring, but I definitely like that they made her into a monster that she should be. Some random stuff. Chelsea Green left after the match, but then came back in a Rey Mysterio mask, and the referee was like, "Who are you?" and almost cost Bayley the match. And of course, Bayley retains. Overall, an okay match. I wouldn't really. I'm not even going to rate it with star ratings. Let's just say that if you want to see Chelsea Green be silly, great. And if you want to see a Piper Niven match, it's pretty good. I definitely think had she won, it would have been a better match. But, they made her look strong in the end. So that's what I can only ask for, is making Piper Niven strong. So kudos to Piper Niven, of course, for almost winning the title. But again, Bayley is still your women's champion over on SmackDown. So there's that. And now up next, we have got the main event, the thing we've all been tuning in for, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. Pretty much the only reason why Scotland's essentially, the man, is the face of the pay-per-view in Scotland. Let's just get it right here, right? So what we end up having is, a pretty okay match between these two. Way through the match, Damian Priest got his ankle caught up in the rope, and I'll be honest with you guys, I really thought he broke his ankle or at least tweaked it pretty heavy because definitely didn't seem like it was something planned. And Drew kind of stood there and was like, I guess I'll just start kicking you. I'll start kicking you in the side, and then gets up and essentially says, I can't win the world title with you tied up in the ropes, and pretty much frees Damian Priest. Pretty good back and forth match, I guess. I don't want to say this was a plotting match. I really don't want to say that, but I don't think they hit the mark. I think this match never got out of first gear. Granted, again, I have to take Damian Priest hurting his leg because he was limping for most of the match. And again, I think even at Dodala, she had mentioned in a private chat that, maybe she thought that he broke his ankle or was just toughing through it. And I really think he was, because you can tell he was definitely in a lot of pain, and it seemed like the match kind of slowed from there. We did have a great sequence where the referee had to dive out of the ring to not get knocked into the turnbuckle. But then, of course, as the referee gets back up, gets knocked into the barricade again, and Damian Priest is about to hit the South of Heaven chokeslam. Drew gets out of it, crisscross, essentially hits the Claymore kick. And, of course, he's waiting on the referee. The crowd's, of course, chanting 1, 2. They get up to 9, believe it or not. And as the referee, it's a really great shot. You have this close-up shot of Drew McIntyre's face and Damian Priest's body, and you see the back of the referee's head. 1, 2, and it stops. And you see Drew McIntyre turn, and his face just has this real angry look. Camera pans around. It's Punk saying 2. CM Punk comes in a referee costume, presumably, and costs the title for Drew McIntyre, because as he leaves, essentially, and how this happens is after he sees Punk as the referee, gets up, chokes him basically into the turnbuckle. Drew McIntyre chokes CM Punk in the turnbuckle. Punk hits a low blow, gets out of the ring, turns around, South of Heaven from Damian Priest. The original referee comes in, 1, 2, 3. And Drew McIntyre, for the second time in a row, has lost in his hometown of Scotland. Look, I understand things got to go, but it's such a weird thing. Ram Jam here. Let's see. The minute they had Drew pin Finn Balor on Raw to prevent the Judgment Day from interfering, that signaled Drew was going to get screwed again. Yeah, that's unfortunately what was going to happen. Interesting, given that Punk is supposed to be the babyface in this, and essentially, in Scotland, of course, he's going to be the heel, but he did have his little clamor of fans, which was interesting, because after the match, a few people wearing CM Punk shirts, he was just leaning up against them, and they're patting him on the shoulder and stuff. So I can understand the point. Would I have booked it that way? No. I would have rather had it to be to where he outsmarted Punk, won the World Heavyweight Championship, and maybe whoever won the Money in the Bank, Punk cost him that same night even. And then we have, again, Punk screwing him out of the world title for a second time versus winning a title, screws him out a second time. And then we have the SummerSlam blow off, and then, we get into the title picture from there. So, didn't love it. I think, Ram Jam, your other statement earlier, and I'll pull it up again, the main event had the Bloodline finish written all over it with Punk. Yeah, Drew was going to get screwed again. I'm surprised he's not pissed off about it, to be honest with you, because the second time, I understand Roman Reigns, but Damian Priest, really? all kudos to Damian Priest. Again, I hope he's not injured. Hopefully he's healthy after this because he definitely seemed like he hit his ankle pretty hard. But as I've said in the preview, they're just not making him feel like a world champion. I mean, even Corey Graves in commentary said that people on the internet are not really buying into Damian Priest as world champion, and he's here to not care about your opinions online, but to prove he is world champion and give him some big wins. So I get it. I get that, you want Drew to, still be mad at CM Punk, but I don't know. I kind of think Drew winning in his home crowd would have made sense, especially the dichotomy of the Bret Hart thing, right? Being booed heavily in the United States and cheered in Scotland. You could have had this amazing pop from tonight at Clash at the Castle, and then Monday Night Raw, this giant just thing of booze, essentially. So I don't know. Again, they must be seeing something in Damian Priest. Again, all kudos to him, but do I care about any of his world title matches? No. I don't care. I want to care. I just don't. And that's the problem, I think, with the world title. And again, look, if you guys have a differing opinion or think you'd book it a different way, let me know. Because again, I definitely am just one guy's opinion here. If you want to follow at Russell M Podcast on X, definitely, send me a message to say, hey, you're totally wrong. Comment on the videos. Let me know how I'm wrong or if you agree with me. Would love to hear your opinions. But, folks, that's it. Again, I'll go over the card real quick. We had AJ Styles lose to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is still your champ. Also, Bayley is still your women's champion. New tag team women's champions in Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Still Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn, and still the World Champion Damian Priest. So, will this go down the record books as one of the better pay-per-views? I don't think so. Again, given the highlights of the night, I would dare say would be just the Unholy Union winning the tag team titles match. I don't think I'd ever go back and watch this again. I always think about pay-per-views if I would watch it in the next 5-10 years, would I recommend it to somebody like WrestleMania 17 I'd go back and watch, or Bad Blood 03, things like that. But I definitely wouldn't recommend this. It's okay, but nothing to write home about. But that's just me. Again, let's see here. Ram Jam. I feel like CM Punk should now be a heel. I kind of felt that too, because the energy he was given was a heel type of thing, because now you've had Drew lose in his hometown. And I will say this for those of you who watched the package at the end, kind of highlighting the rest of the night, they really had this really somber, it's up rock beat for all the rest of the matches, except until they got to the main event. You had this somber, beatific, just haunting almost. I dare say haunting, but more beatific music playing. And you knew at the beginning, it's going to show heartbreak. It evoked heartbreak in this music. And again, that's the idea, is Drew is heartbroken. He's lost in his hometown for the second time. Again, there's a story there. And again, they're talking about Monday Night Raw. You're going to have to see it. You must see it. Again, CM Punk seemingly now is the de facto heel. Now, again, Drew is still Drew. He has not changed his character. Only because he's in Scotland, he's a babyface. But kind of a heel move with the low blow. Punk is a better heel than a face, Ram Jam says. Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, he just is. He can do it now. And again, maybe that's the idea of a double turn. I really am not sure, because again, Punk is still Punk, and I think the newness of Punk is worn off. So now we're back to square one with Punk. But I don't know, folks. I mean, again, if you have a differing opinion, let me know. Definitely would love to hear it. And if you would, make sure to like and subscribe and comment on the YouTube channel, as well as, again, follow me at Russell M Podcast. Also, do me a favor and follow A Plus Opinions, as well as at Dotala_ and her Rangers of Wrestling YouTube channel as well. But for me, folks, that's my review of Clash at the Castle. Again, make sure you let me know what you think. Would love to hear from you. And you will see me once again for the Monday Night Raw preview, or Monday Night Raw review pretty shortly after the show. So otherwise, folks, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good evening and good afternoon. Thanks for watching.